What is Moos to you?
What is Moos to me? Interesting question. For me, Moos is like a whole ecosystem. It's like Planterval. It's like a forest. Nearby Moos there is actually a big forest which I deeply love. It's called Planterwald.
Yeah.
And it's a forest where is when the nature just keeps doing its flow, there isn't human intervention in this forest. Like if a tree fall down, this tree will do its own cycle and will be recycled. And I like it to see that Moos is something that it's so it's hard to put it in structures. So it's a space where everything can happen. It's very hard to plan things because it's very alive. There is something going on in all directions all the times. And it's just incredible. What was a setting yesterday, next week might be completely different.
Yeah, it really is like a forest actually. I mean, there's so much.
Like a forest, yeah. There is so and it's a full ecosystem. Also, and this ecosystem, I met some of the most inspiring beings there. Like I remember just stepping in the kitchen and meeting, like a very normal dialogue, a very common dialogue would have been meeting someone who is making helmet out of mushrooms, someone else who is playing the gong in the living room, This was very beautiful and was happening daily.
Yeah, what happens when you live in a space where all of this is just normal? Like it's not.
This was normal, This was my normality. Yeah. What happened? It depends in which cycle of life you are. I think it's a very powerful and deep expander. It's a big expansion of feeling what can be my base of normality. What can be something that I can do. It's a very nice and beautiful way to see, to basically put in relation your own normality, your own, how you grew up and the things that you thought were possible or not, because you're constantly exposed to people who had very interesting and divergent path in relation to normality. So it was precious for me also to have an introspective view of my path there, and then realize that paths are constantly in a very playful way changing all directions. There isn't a path to follow, but is the most resonating, meaningful path. And maybe the challenge there was to find what really you want to do there, because to be exposed in all these all this variety of things can also be confusing.
I mean, your purpose in being there was not the residency, which I was doing, where you have a project and you're also trying to integrate with the community, or were you also working on specific things? What was the idea when you were there?
We were the first being landed there. The idea was to really keep it as a home, it was house, it was home first before everything else. And in the frame of home, also hosting, for example, little events, but it was mostly a home. That was the priority.
Okay.
And from there, really let things unfold gradually.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, there's no notion of I'm here to work on specific projects. I mean, you had your own things that you were just doing on the side anyway. At
the beginning, no, it was more an incubation. From there, after maybe 2-3 months, because I believe that you need to start really in every, not in every, but in most of the project of living together, of doing things together, there are some steps. There is the very basic step of figuring out daily life together. Daily life, it's how we cook food together, how we keep the space beautiful, how we communicate to each other, what our rituals, what our routines. And if that is not set, it's very hard to arrive to the phase to dream beyond this day, very concrete daily.
It's the foundation upon which
foundation.
You do.
Yes, thank you for the work. Yeah. So to set a foundation, there is resilient and there is pleasant and there is also a bit flexible. A foundation there is evolving, ever evolving, but it has some stability, but it's also welcoming the new. That takes some time. Because from there you might be tempted to dream, but if the foundation still needs some love, then you will come back there all the time. And this happened to us a few times. But we really first had to set up that, and then from there we did a very long dragon dreaming process with Manuela, and that, finally we were able to shape what is actually the whole ecosystem Moos now. It's very similar to what we were dreaming. Like, looking at it, it's just incredible to see, wow, it's really incredible. Yeah.
What's something that maybe you might understand or have awareness of, like, about Moos, that other people who may have come in later may not have seen, that you think would be important to know? Like, is there some kind of less visible thing that maybe we can all learn from people that were there earlier on? Either about how it was or how it is.
Yes. I'm tuning in with what might be maybe most meaningful. Something that took a while is to realize that there is so much. It's very rich Moos already, of connection, of relations, of like the whole floors. I'm not talking just about the rooftop, but I'm talking about all the whole building. It's very rich. There are many inspiring people and projects there. And there was this temptation of really looking outside all the time. So
Outside?
by outside I mean out of that ecosystem, for creating something new, or weaving new relation all the time. But something very precious I see is really to weave relations first within, and from there move a bit more outside. Because to keep looking for relation outside might create fragmentation, and it's very precious to I mean there is already a beautiful mycelium network of connection relations between the beings at Moos, but I think that there is maybe this is something that I would say is meaningful to like go deeper in what is already there, because that's really the frame will hold what would come if you invite it from other forms. So make the frame something that is really beautiful and pleasant to work with, and resilient. Yes.
Yeah, some people say, like, if you want to change the world, start with your neighborhood.
Yes.
And this is maybe a way to go even more closer, like start with the people you live with, and then it's I like this word frame also, because it's another kind of foundation, but more like things can go inside, and there's space. Maybe also more personally for you, like, what are some things that you have taken with you from your experience at living at Moos?
A lot of beautiful relation with so many beings, a lot of friendships. My current love, that we married 2 months ago.
Right.
We met in the kitchen while dancing. And actually we are going there tomorrow to make a picture of us in the kitchen, the place where we met.
Wow.
In the morning at sunrise.
Wow.
So it gave me, and it's still giving me, it's not left me, I'm still connected with Moos. I feel now that, following my need of rooting, I need a physical place that is more quiet. And then when I come out from this shower of quietness, this shower of stillness, this shower of, I'm fresh with quietness, then I can go there.
Wow.
And it's still, it gave me, and it's still giving me mostly beautiful relation and connections.
Of course you're still connected with it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I meant, like, there's something very particular about living in that space for, I forget how long you were there, but maybe
1 year and a half.
1 year and a half? Okay, so that's quite a long time, I think, for maybe to be anywhere, but like I meant like in things that you may have learned from that experience that you maybe apply to other situations. Like.
Yeah, I learned like many things. I learned from, for example, to really, if you want to shape the space, just do it. Like to really. I learned that instead of thinking too much, just go and shape the space. Like in the, playful boundaries of what is allowed. Just take really all of your freedom and shape spaces. Can be moving things, can be all what is reversible. Just do it. We shape the space so much.
Do everything that's reversible. Oh man.
You know, just do it. You know, don't even bother to ask. It's reversible. It's fine. You can do it.
Well.
And yeah, it was incredible how many times we completely shaped it, and it was each time looking different. Sometimes it was looking like a temple with a big gong in the middle. Sometimes it was looking like a cooking studio. Sometimes it was like, and this was a big action, big work, but was just so surprising, and really was wonderful to see this possibility to shape a space in such a different way. So this is something that is still with me. Like now I'm a big space shifter. As I land in a place, I change things quite quickly because I know they can go back. And other things are the importance of rituals, the importance of regular checking-ins. This is something I'm still doing. I'm inviting to, it's not always something easy to keep, you know. I learned the importance of ritual and the challenges connected with keeping these rituals alive. I learned that everything is evolving. Like there is really, if you set up a system for checking in with each other, maybe the system is the same, but the ones who are part of the system are changing.
And the environment and the ground is always
shifting. The environment is
changing.
So why the system should not change if everything else is changing, right? I learned to accept that there is this word to call it decay of the system, you know. There is, I like more to frame it as unfittingness. The system was perfectly beautiful for fitting a situation for which was designed for, and even after 2-3 months, maybe it's already time to think and let it evolve, because everything else is evolving. So I learned this, that everything is evolving and systems are not eternal. They need space and time to really learn from them and move on to something else.
And what can help? I feel like this is a bit sort of like a hidden thing, because people don't realize that they create a system and they sort of try to stick to it. But even this idea to change or to understand that it needs to be changed and it's natural to change is a kind of, perhaps system is not the right word, but it is a kind of meta thing.
Can be ritual, can be gathering, can be, but more ritual,
But
habit, routine.
How do you know when?
Right, that's very interesting. These require a sensitivity and dedicated space for just sensing without doing, and also observation, like to observe without aiming at changing things, because some traits for me personally, like I see that when something needed change is when it became a bit heavier to do, like it's feeling like oh no, I need to do that, and that's already for me a first sign. It's not the only one, you know, but if I would see this repeatedly, maybe that's the time to think about something that you know, it doesn't have to be heavy, you know, like it's a conditioning that things need to be heavy. It doesn't have to, you know, when it's designed in a way that is intentionally creating times also for example, celebrating, time for asking for support. Maybe one person is not enough for that. So for me, that's just one thing. Another thing is when it became unsustainable. When, for example, it's maybe the resources shift around it, and then it's something that would make sense if there are enough resources, enough energy, enough hands, enough people that can follow up with it. But then it gets concentrated maybe in the hands of 2 people or maybe 3 people. That's already for me unsustainable. And the last thing, if it simply doesn't do what it was supposed to do, let's say there is a shift there is a routine, a system for having food ready. If the food is not ready, if you enter in the kitchen, there is no food. There's clearly a moment because it needs like it doesn't always make sense to like push for having that system working. Maybe it's not functional anymore. Maybe instead of cooking lunch together, it's a different system. Maybe it's cooking a very big meal that lasts 2 days and remixing it. Like, it can be so many ways, but that's for me a clear sign that let's learn from what we created, let's integrate it, let's celebrate it, let's send our love to all the ones who took part of it, let's maybe call them and ask them, and let's birth something new that would accompany us. This takes time. I know that's the thing, take time, but it saves so much time if you want to see it in, in time, in time metrics, but it's just heartwarming. And this is something that I learned that is very important. We had rituals that were evolving, but at the same time was not easy to catch up with all the evolutions. So it's something that I've been seeing how important is to intentionally create space for learning from the things that are being set up, the routines that are being set up.
Where can people find out more about you and what you're doing?
Can you reframe the question?
Where can people find out more?
So there is a website that started collecting practices, care, playful caring practices, called playcare.community.
Playcare.community is a website.
Yes. And I'm starting from there.
Cool. Documenting some of your playful care. I'm diving into it in not this cycle but the next cycle, and I have some big plans for it. Nice.
I also have some interview that I want to share there.
Oh, cool.